it's just good to have something to use to help with this condition. So the recipe I found said you could do 10 drops of chamomile, 5 drops of lavender, 4 drops of sandalwood, and of geranium. And always remember to dilute well in a kind of a cold pressed unrefined base oil. If you're using that many drops, I would say you need to be using at least 6 tablespoons. Yes, about 60 mils. That would work about fine. I mean, if you use more base oil, it's fine. And it's really important to know that, again, if you're not used to using these oils, you don't use so much, you can lower the amount and build up your sort of tolerance for the oils. They are chemicals and they are very strong and powerful. Please don't think that more of the essential oils is a better therapy. Or if I say 10 drops, 20 will be better. In fact, sometimes, less can be much better than more, because you don't want to have this sort of effect where you're probably having the oils working on maybe parasites or whatever, and you have a strong die-off effect. And so less is best sometimes. For this particular T4, you know, there are certain thought patterns again, and it could be maybe you're feeling bitterness, need to make others wrong. You're the kind of person that tends to condemn, you know. So we need to be very careful how we're thinking these sort of thoughts and being bitter and angry and so on. And what you could do, sort of blaming others and feeling all congested and, you know, making people wrong, what you could do is you could affirm, I accept responsibility for my experiences. I give myself the gift of forgiveness. I love life and all its surprises. Because, you know, we have to create the world that we live in. And we can create our own happiness and so on by how we think, how we act, etc. T5, they give the blood and nerve supply to the liver, solar plexus, and the blood. And the manifestation of any sort of problems there would be liver conditions, fevers, low blood pressure, anemia, poor circulation, and even arthritis. Again, you could use essential oils of geranium for liver conditions. Now, if there's a fever of say over 106 degrees Fahrenheit, about 41.1 degrees Celsius, that can be considered to be quite serious. It is too high. Now, a fever in and of itself is not, you know, a disease or anything, because the body is really wonderful. When you have an infection in the body, what the body will try to do is to, first of all, go in and try to get rid of that infection by raising the temperature to burn away that infection. And what happens sometimes is the fever is suppressed too quickly, then you might find the body might rush in with mucus and stuff to try and clean it out via that way, you know, using the waterworks. That's quite often when you have a cold and flu, you might feel feverish at first, and you might have this, then all this draining and running off of fluids and stuff like that. So, in fact, there's a saying that goes that, you know, feed a fever, starve a cold. But I think that's been slightly misinterpreted, because what they're saying is that if you kind of eat if you eat while you have a fever, you might find eventually you may have to go on a sort of a fast when the cold comes through. So when you have a fever, don't go into a panic. Just make sure you don't get too hot and get into that dangerous zone. And in fact, just recently, you know, one of my family members was actually in hospital, and they called and said, oh, you know, I'm having a really, really high temperature. I don't feel well. You know, can you come by? So I went there with my oils. And what I took with me was I took some essential oil of eucalyptus. I made a mixture with eucalyptus, frankincense, tea tree, pine, and orange. And I put this mixture of essential oils in a vapor rub. And I just sort of mixed it in. And then I applied the mixture all over the back and chest, the neck, behind the ears, and so on. and the person covered up, and then I left them. And then I came back late evening with the mixture again. And when I got there, the person was having a roasting fever in the morning when I got there. By the time I got back in the late evening, it was just a low-grade fever. So I reapplied the mixture. And by the next morning, fever was gone, pain was gone, feeling really well and everything. So, these oils are really powerful. They're so potent. They're so wonderful. So by now, hopefully, you'd have been somewhere halfway between the two joints. Just taking your thumb, if you're right-handed, just hook your thumb and just turn your hand to the side. You can see the side of your thumb there. That's where the reflex point for the spine actually lies. They go from the base of your thumb all the way down into where the wrist is, straight down. And you should just be pressing in gently, hooking on the point, and then rotating your finger over the point. You can feel sort of tenderness or any kind of pain. There's some congestion there. You just basically go in and just massage that, and you're giving yourself a therapy right there. Yes? So, yeah, so the oils are wonderful, very much so. Very, very much so. So definitely, use these oils to help you to feel better and to get well. The essential oil of pine will also work quite well with arthritis. So even though it really targets the lungs, it will work on arthritis. And I've always said it's a great oil to use if you're exercising, because it really gets to the pain. Sometimes we don't want to exercise because it's so painful. We could use it in a mixture before you exercise and even after. For the anemia that is from the result of the T5 being misaligned, you could try essential oil of ginger, lemon, peppermint, and even essential oil of cinnamon. For poor circulation, this can benefit from using essential oil of rosemary, cypress, grapefruit, and ylang ylang. And I just love ylang ylang. It's a really good heart oil, but it's so good for calming and relaxing the body. But here it is, it's actually good for, again, this whole circulation, isn't it? Now with T5, if you have the thought pattern, maybe you're sort of refusing to process your emotions. You may have all these dammed up feelings. You might be feeling rage. And what you can do, you could probably affirm, I am relaxed and allow life to flow through me. I am fluid and I'm free. Excellent. So now you're listening to the Caribbean radio show on the CRS radio. I'm your host, Marjorie Henry Lawrence. And today we're continuing with looking at spinal misalignments. Do call in on 661-467-2407. And if you're interested in the oils at all, do go on my website. It's the uk.nyrorganic, organic.com/shop/Marjorie Henry-Lauren. They have essential oils there. They have lots of wonderful products. And the essential oils that I'm trying to sort of get you to use and stuff is really wonderful. So do go there and have a look and try these oils out. Now we're looking at the point for the vertebrae, the T6. And this gives the nerve and blood supply to the stomach. And if that's having a problem, you're going to manifest, of course, stomach troubles. You may have a nervous stomach. You may have indigestion, maybe even heartburn or dyspepsia. So I would actually place essential oil of peppermint at the very top of the list to deal with these digestive complaints. There are other oils as well. There's fennel, there's dill and so on. You can also try essential oil of ginger, but that can be a bit hot for some people. So if you try it and you don't like it, anything you try and you're not sort of resonating with it, just stop and try something else, And you don't have to buy a whole host of oils initially. Just buy a few of the oils, the florals and the citrus oils. You might want to buy a lemon oil, or you want to try the, rosemary or maybe rose or whatever. Just try a few oils to begin with, and always start with, low dose when you're doing it. For the sort of stomach problems, You could also try clove, or as I said, lemon before. Clove is quite a strong oil, very, very strong, very highly antiseptic. And, always trying to use just probably 1 or 2 drops. It's quite numbing, Now, if you're having this sort of misalignment with the T6, that again could be, the sort of, again, anger, you're sort of stuffing down your negative emotions, maybe feeling even fear of the future, and just constantly worrying. You could have probably affirm, I trust the process of life to bring me my highest good. I reach out in love and understanding, and all is well. Let's have a listen to the great Beres Hammond, What One Dance Can Do.
I can tell you a story about what one dance can do, what one dance can do, one dance can do, one dance can do, one dance on the floor. She came back wanting for more, for more. I don't know what it is that I've got, but she whispered, it was so nice, so nice. But a man sitting across the way, he could hear the things I say. Now we went just from the corner of his eye. A move like this will be so way. Ooh, you're standing in my way. Standing in my way. You could see she was more than ready to make a move with me anytime. Not even thinking of the consequences. No. So I had to think quickly. Cause there a man his face was looking oh so mean. Yes, at any time he could create a scene. So gently I pushed her away. Ooh, he was just going to play. He's standing in my way. He's standing in my way. Whoa. Whoa. Now I understand how we feel. But I wish you'd give me a little room. I know it's got himself a raw deal. Ooh. But I'd like to live with this lady too. I didn't mean to be so unkind. But I had nothing to do with one was looking fine. They said everyone had to have his own way. Thought he'd be, but he said, ooh, still standing in my way. Hey, hey. Standing in my way. Hey, standing in my way. Ooh.
Yes, I hope you were dancing. I was dancing, standing in your way. So, welcome back to the CRS radio show, the Caribbean radio show. I'm your host, Marjorie Henry Lawrence, looking at spinal misalignments, and we got up to the thoracic 7. So, welcome back. So, you're looking at the nerve and blood supply from the thoracic 7. That actually supplies the pancreas and the duodenum. And the manifestations, if that's not working properly, you might find you have things like ulcers, gastritis, and possibly diabetes as well. The essential oil of cinnamon is great for balancing blood sugars. And for the ulcers and the gastritis, do use essential oil of frankincense, ginger, fennel, peppermint, or lemon. And if you're having this sort of problem here, with gastritis and so on, it could be that maybe you're sort of storing pain and just refusing to relax and enjoy life. So what you could probably do is to say, affirm, I digest life with ease and in peace. I relax, let go, and let sweetness into my world. All is well. Because sometimes we hold on to that sort of pain in our emotions. It really does hit us right there, doesn't it? Right in the center of our being. It really does get to us right there in that sort of midsection. And it can make life hard to digest if we don't sort of digest our experiences. It can affect that as well. Now, T8 gives the nerve and blood supply to the spleen. Now, the spleen, not very often you hear people talk about your spleen or whatever, It's not often discussed, and sometimes it's not often seen as very vital because, people talk about their stomach or, they talk about this or their heart and whatever. But the spleen is quite important, It's such an important organ. The spleen actually, it filters your blood. This is where you get the creation of new blood cells, where they store the platelets. It's a fundamental part of our immune system. And if your immune system is compromised, that is a serious thing. That's our defense system, isn't it? So we need to take care of our spleen. And if you're having this sort of splenic conditions and so on, you might find yourself having this sort of lowered resistance, constantly getting coughs and colds and just feeling unwell and so on. But the spleen needs some help there. So you could use your essential oil of thyme. And thyme is one of the big oils, one of those big oils for addressing immune problems. It's a great immune booster and so on. You could also use your frankincense. You could use your clove oil. Clove is also another big one. And hyssop, tea tree. I love tea tree, of course, because most people are aware of tea tree. The fact it's antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal, antiparasitic, and so on. So go for those oils. Make a mixture up and reach over to the left side of your body and just massage that oil in and start boosting your immune system. Don't forget to take the time now as I'm talking to just put your thumb on the side of your other thumb and just hook your thumb, go into the point, massage in, and give yourself that therapy as you go along. And whenever you have any sort of therapy, be it reflexology, massage therapy, like aromatherapy or whatever, always remember to drink a lot of water after you've had that. And it's so important. And in fact, sometimes when you have a treatment with the essential oils, it's best not to have alcohol because you can have a real situation there. It could feel as high as a kite sometimes if you use these chemicals and then be drinking alcohol. It could really sort of knock you out, make you feel a bit sort of overly drunk or whatever. Yeah, so, use a tea tree, do the actual, massage as you go along. And the thought patterns that could be causing this sort of problem, maybe you're having an obsession with any failure in your life. Sometimes you're resisting your good, And if you're kind of in that position where you're having these thoughts, this sort of obsession that, I've done something wrong, I failed. We all make mistakes in life, and this is what life is about. Life is about, enjoying it, going out there and trying something. And, if you fail, then, you have to give yourself that room to say, okay, I failed, but what have I learned from this situation? And you might say, I didn't practice good judgment. But there's a saying that says good judgment is based on experience. Yeah, so good judgment is based on experience. Unfortunately, experience is based on poor judgment. So how else can we learn? We can learn from other people. We can learn from reading. But some things we just have to learn for ourselves. So this is so important that you don't get to that point where you're always upset and I've made this mistake or whatever, and just resisting your good. And what you could affirm there, if you're feeling that way, is that you could say maybe I receive all the good life has to offer me now. I'm grateful, happy, and peaceful. All is well. Okay. Now T9, thoracic 9. That's the nerve and blood supply to the adrenal and suprarenal glands. And the effect of this not working properly would be the manifestation of allergies and hives. And this is where I'm going to say, OMG, oh my God. Is there anybody now on this planet who don't have some kind of allergic reaction to something? Some kind of food or perfume or something. Everybody, that I meet have a little something going on there with allergies. So, this is what's happening. Point, the T9 point. By now, you should sort of close to the other sort of knuckle or the point there, the other joint there on the thumb, just sort of massaging that point. Now, there's a really good combination you can use to help with these allergies. So it's stated you could use a combination of the essential oil of lavender, lemon, and peppermint can create a really powerful all-natural antihistamine. So if you combine lavender, lemon, and peppermint, it can actually help to cool down the body's inflammatory process. And I've been trying it now, and I find it to be quite cooling, in fact, and quite lovely. So probably what you could do is combine, let me see, maybe, it depends on the oils that you really like. I mean, you could do maybe 5 drops of each. But I think if you take the oils and you sort of just, smell it before you use it, you might find you want to use, instead of 5 drops of lavender, maybe 2 drops of lavender, 5 of peppermint, 5 of lemon. So just experiment with that. We'll just use a very low dose and just do 2 drops of each in a base oil and start with that and see if it really helps with your allergies and so on. You could also use essential oil of Melissa to help with allergies as well. I found it to be quite good as well. So Melissa, you could try as well, definitely. Now, if you're having these allergies, maybe your thought process that's sort of bringing on this sort of condition could be that you're feeling a bit let down by life. You have this tendency to blame other people and to act as a victim. And if you know you have this mindset, then, and you're thinking, oh, I'm having allergies, then there's a correlation between your thought pattern and what you're experiencing. So by affirming, maybe you could say, I create a loving reality where I am powerful and peaceful. Yes? So too many times we allow ourselves to feel let down by life in general or by a particular circumstance. Life will bring to us sometimes what we go out to seek out, or sometimes it will bring to us experiences that we just need to go through so we can learn and grow and become better people. Now for the vertebrae T10, that will give the nerve and blood supply to the kidneys, and the effects of that, if it's not in the proper alignment, you could find yourself with kidney troubles. You could have hardening of the arteries, chronic tiredness, nephritis, and colitis. And again, you have this sort of chronic tiredness. So many people are so tired all the time, the sort of chronic fatigue syndrome. And for this sort of chronic tiredness, you could use essential oils of bergamot, mandarin, ylang ylang. If there's hardening of the arteries, this sort of arteriosclerosis taking place with a sort of a buildup of fat and cholesterol and plaque in the arteries, then what you could use is essential oils of cypress, essential oil of helichrysum, lavender, marjoram, melissa, and peppermint. Now, if there is, if you're experiencing this kidney infection or nephritis, you can use essential oil of thyme. And if you're having any sort of inflammation of the bladder and the urethra, which is the colitis, do use essential oil of juniper. That's really powerful for detoxifying that area of the body. Coming up in the next sort of 15 minutes on the celebrity link, we're looking at the tunes of the British charts. Yes? So do tune into Bro Blue and enjoy the celebrity link. That should be really another fabulous show from Bro Blue. Now, if you're experiencing these problems with your T10, you can say to yourself, now what are my thought patterns? Are you the kind of person that's sort of refusing to take charge? Again, needing to feel like a victim, and again, feel like you want to sort of blame somebody. Oh, it's your fault, pointing that finger at somebody else. What you could affirm here is that I live and act responsibly in this loving universe. So it's not about blaming people. It's about, accepting responsibility and learning from our experiences and just creating that affirmation that to bring about that sort of wholesome thought. Now, for the thoracic 11, T11, that would be your nerve and blood supply to the ureters and the kidneys. Again, the kidneys. And the manifestation of that, if there are any sort of ill effects going on there, you might find there's like skin conditions such as acne, pimples, eczema, or boils. Now, in the show I did on the emotions of the organs, I discussed the emotions linked with the kidneys. And it's all about this fear, and this sort of low self-image, where you think of you having this sort of fear, paranoia, and apprehension. Those thoughts would affect the reproductive system and the kidneys as well. So what you need to actually affirm for this, I would suggest maybe you could say, I am bold and trusting and confident. I approach life with joyous ease. I am safe. The essential oils that you could use to help to heal any conditions linked to T11 would be the essential oil of wintergreen to help with to address the acne and the pimples. But again, try to use this oil in really low concentration because it could be quite drying for the skin. And in fact, what you could also do is use an oil like that in something that's really very emollient, like maybe coconut oil or sweet almond oil, or just choose any oil that you like. And it could be base oil with avocado or sunflower. Again, the oils need to be cold pressed, unrefined, and so on. For the eczema that manifests because of this issue with the T11, you could actually treat it gently. Eczema is a really sort of tricky one sometimes, so always go for gentle and low doses. A low dose of chamomile, essential oil of chamomile, and yarrow for the inflammation caused by the eczema. And then you could actually add other oils as well, so oils such as maybe essential oil of rose or lavender that will help with the skin rejuvenation. So the yarrow and the chamomile for the inflammation that is you're experiencing with the eczema, and adding either rose or lavender or both or whatever, again in low concentrations to help the skin to rejuvenate. If you're having boils and so on, with the T11 being out of alignment, try and reach for the sort of big anti-infectious oils such as tea tree and lemon and so on to help with the boils. Now, if you're having that condition, as I said before, just try not to be so fearful because fear can attract these things into our lives. So just remember, I'm bold, trusting, and confident. I approach life with joyous ease. I am safe. Now, by the time on the T12, So by now you should be massaging that point just there, right by the next joint going down. So right along that section to the two joints on your thumb, that's all the thoracics there. You should have given them that as a workout, hopefully on both thumbs. So go on the other thumb and do both thumbs, you know. One is the left side of the spine, the other side is the right side, and work it through. Search for those little tender spots and just massage there and work it out. Now the T12, that will actually address the nerve and blood supply to the small intestines, the lymph circulation, and the lymph nodes and stuff. Because in the nodes, the lymph nodes, that's where the blood flows through and the lymph flows through, and it filters the bacteria and so on, and other sort of infectious matter. So the T12 there is actually supplying the blood to the small intestines and for the lymph circulation. Really, really important, because the lymph, you know, it takes nutrients to the tissues and the organs, and the lymph takes the waste away. So that needs to be quite a good working system. And in fact, as I said before, you know, if there's a school of thought that says if your spine is in proper alignment, your body will work fine. And if your lymphatic system is clear and clean, the body will also work quite fine. So that is really important. And if you're having this sort of congestion in the T12, yes, you might find you're having things like rheumatism, gas pains, and certain types of sterility. And for that, you could use essential oil of rose to address the issues of sterility. For the gas pains, of course, you could use essential oil of peppermint, ginger, essential oils of fennel and dill. And the interesting thing is that, you know, it's a matter. People might think, oh, you just have gas in your tummy or whatever, and you know, that's it. It can be quite a painful thing to move around the body, and you really can, you know, hit on those nerves and cause lots of distress. And if you can imagine a baby with gas, you know, that's quite painful, and needs to get that gas up and out, you know, or down and out, as the case might be. And I remember when I was quite young, there was a neighbor of mine. She had to be rushed to hospital. This was back in Jamaica, and she had to be rushed to hospital, and you know, people thought she was having a heart attack and so on. And when she got there, they examined her, and what it was, you know, the gas in her stomach, it literally lifted her heart. So it's not a thing to play with, you know. It's something that you need to get out of your system. It's really important. So what I like to recommend sometimes, apart from just the oils as well, there's this thing called the Woodward's Bright Mixture, which is so amazing, and that has the fennel in it. It has sodium bicarbonate. It has fennel. It's really wonderful. It tastes really good. It's good. It's for babies actually, but I still use it when I need to use it. It has sodium bicarbonate. It has fennel. It's really gentle but really powerful. So it's not always about something being strong and powerful and banging into the system. Sometimes a gentle way of addressing it can be really, really efficacious. Now, if you're having any sort of rheumatism, this again can be helped with peppermint due to its analgesic property and its anti-inflammatory property. So peppermint is not the most obvious oil to use here, but do use it as well, you know. And again, with the rheumatism and arthritis and stuff, always, you know, you have the pine, you have rosemary, and so on. If you're having issues with the T12, the thought pattern linked to that could be that you're disowning the right to live. You're feeling insecure, maybe, fearful of love, and just the inability to digest life. And what you could affirm is that I choose to lovingly, I choose to be loving and lovable. I digest life with ease. All is well in my world. So just to kind of have a little recap of what's been happening over the past sort of 2 weeks, I've been basically concentrating a lot on aromatherapy, and I just thought it'd be a good time to introduce reflexology onto the program, you know. And as I said before, I have a really tremendous respect and love for reflexology because it's such an amazing treatment tool, but also quite a good diagnostic tool. Oftentimes, a client will come to you and you do a case study, you take the case history or whatever, and they'll say they have this or that problem. And of course, you'll be focusing on doing the entire treatment on the feet or the hands or whatever. But then you, the therapist, will pick up things that even the person who's lying there or sitting there didn't even know they probably could have in the future. It's such a non-intrusive, therapy. It works well with, whatever you're doing. And again, with the reflexology, the points, they end in your feet, they end in your hands, the lower legs, and, the face and the ears as well also carry these reflex points. So, it's about touching for health, And I said before, health in your hands, taking control of your health, keeping your health in your hands. So very, very important. What I want to do next week is to just finish up by looking at the lumbar spine. So we're looking at the L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and then look at the sacrum and the coccyx. We'll take a look at the nerve and blood supply linked to those particular vertebrae and stuff, and again, the essential oils that we can use to help with the situation. And, if you can call in next week, please do call in and join me on 661-467-2407 on this most wonderful Caribbean radio show. I'm just going to let you, enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to let you enjoy this wonderful Barry's Hammond. And I love this song so much. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to finish up with that. So thank you for having me on the airwaves. It was really good to be here. And I really look forward to being here with you next week as we finish up with looking at spinal misalignments. If you can get hold of a hand reflexology chart and just try and locate where the spine is on the side of the thumb, and just give yourself a self-therapy with the spine just by massaging those points, seeking out the tender areas, and just working on it. And always remember to drink a lot of water after you've done it. Do go out and try the oils as well. So very important. Thank you again for joining me, and have a wonderful evening. And I'm going to just end with the great Barry's Hammond, What One Dance Can Do. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I can tell you a story about what one dance can do. What one dance can do. One dance can do. One dance can do. Listen to one dance on the floor. She came back wanting for more, for more.